I'm the Director of Equity and Environmental Justice for the Department of Natural Resources. It's a brand new position that was set up after the HEAL Act was passed in 2021. And much of my work is centered on building a new team to revolutionize the way state government approaches environmental justice and works with folks that are most affected by environmental injustice. I think Solid Ground informed my sense of leadership pretty substantially. It was the first job where it was really formalized, where your job is to create more leaders. And your job is to create leaders who have more responsibility, authority, and access than you might have in your own position. And I feel really honored that so early in my career, I was taught and mentored how to do that. And that's where Solid Ground is so unique among organizations, in that it creates power by creating power in new places. It's not trying to access things. It's not trying to move power. And I think that's the best way that we change the world. So when I was at Solid Ground, I spent my time in the Poverty Action Group. So I spent my time traveling across Washington, talking to folks at the intersections of multiple layers of oppression, people who were often at the table in more ethereal meta levels, but never actually sat down giving their solutions and talking about what works for them and how we can solve these problems with their expertise. I learned from the folks who had been systematically designed out of providing the solutions that work to solve the biggest problems we face, that the solutions exist everywhere. You know, there were definitely times when we were walking in with people where this is a life and death situation, and those legislators were not receptive to their solutions. But, you know, a decade down the road, those solutions are in place because history caught up with where those elected officials are, and luckily not a lot of them are around anymore. I'm proud that we could go to places like Walla Walla and Omak and Spokane and Vancouver and Longview and know that the folks there were eager to share their stories with us, and that Poverty Action and Solid Ground had done the work to build trusting relationships that lasted far beyond my time. And now that I'm doing different work, you know, it's not unreasonable for me to spend a month and hear about this from folks in community who have no idea that I spent time at Solid Ground. And I think that makes me proud every time I hear that. Solid Ground was an incredible launching pad for me, and I think it made me a deep generalist who was able to do a lot of different things. And so after leaving Solid Ground, I went on to run an organization called Progressive Majority, where we recruited, helped support candidates across Washington State and the Northwest be elected to office. And we focused on folks of color, people under 35, folks that identified as LGBTQI. And so after working with individuals, I went to the systemic level. I went on the governance side, worked at the Seattle Public Library, and then I went into philanthropy, supporting systemic solutions across the Pacific Northwest. I think since leaving Poverty Action, some of the things that I'm most proud of, you know, is my work in Yakima, helping elect that city's first Latina majority, first woman majority, you know, getting folks elected to public office that, you know, we're not designed to win those races, that we're not, you know, held with true intention for them to lead in their communities. And those examples are across the Northwest, and I think about them often, and I'm really proud to have played a part in so many people's political careers. The folks that we worked with at Solid Ground were advocates for things that were more than just a passion. It was their life, and it was their survival and their ability to thrive. And I remember sitting one day in the office with Marcy Bowers, the director of Poverty Action, and we had received a call that one of our strongest advocates on some of our HIV and AIDS programs at the state had passed away. And this was right on the tail end of the recession in 2008 and 9. And I remember just sitting there with Marcy and feeling intense responsibility to this person who had given so much to us and to the state to make things better for other people. And I think about them often.